So this file is called Raffle, and it won't play. And we made the browser version also not play it because that means it's like obvious that it's broken by design and not broken. I don't want people to like download it and be like, oh, the file's broken, I guess I'll stop playing. That's not the idea. So it's pretty obvious that this is supposed to be broken because it's not like the Flash version where it doesn't know how to do that, right? So here's the file. It's just like the puzzle is like make the file work, basically. So if I grab this file now, so this is raffle.wave. If I try and open it, it just gives me like a file, like an error like this, right? Unable to open it. It's corrupted, unsupported, whatever it is. It's .wave, but it won't open. And the reason for that is that the hex header that tells programs what the file is actually not what it should be. It's not what the programs are expecting. So programs first look at the extension. They say, okay, it's .wave. That's great. And then they look at the content, and they say, okay, cool, great. So what's in here? And they look at the stuff all at the beginning. And if this isn't formatted correctly, then the program's like, I don't know what to do with this thing. They like throw their hands up in the air, and it's like, no, I won't do it. They don't try. They just say no, and they just say it's unsupported, corrupted, whatever. So right now, these first 4 digits or characters say raffle, and that's of course to reference the name of the file. And also because I had recognized that this might be new territory for a lot of people, I wanted to at least give them an idea of where they need to focus their attention. So hence raffle.wave and raffle here. So this should actually read RIFF, which stands for Resource Interchange File Format. So I can change it here to RIFF, and you can see it changed some stuff there. And I can resave this as like, I don't know, like we'll call it raffle fixed. And hope for the best. Fixed, and we'll close this, and I'll close this guy too. And I'll try opening up raffle fixed now instead. That's it. So you just fix the file, you're good to go. So Kingdom, that's our answer. All right, next level. And many people might know that sound because Valve made it kind of famous with the Portal and Portal 2 ARGs and additional content like dev commentary content and such. I don't play the whole thing, that's all it is, just that forever. So that is a slow scan television signal, so you need a program called RxSSTV or something else. There's a lot of them that do it. They're all open source, a lot of them are. And that the opening of this file, that like is kind of the ID tag, and that's what programs like this watch for. And when it comes in, it's like, sweet, sounds good. So if I play that, I've got this set such that it's looking for the input of my computer, or the output of my computer, as far as the audio input for the program. So if I just play that file, this should actually hear it. It should hear it and start showing me the image that goes along with it. So I'll play it right now. Respect. And I can talk to mess it up. Look at that. Check, check. Isn't that awesome? It's so cool. So cool. So past Nonies. This is actually a reference and homage to a game called Narbacular Drop, which was made by the team that was eventually hired at Valve to make Portal. So there you go, Nonies. Let's play this. If you didn't like that last one, Zephyr, you probably didn't like that one either. Play it one more time, sorry. This is actually a quieter version of the one you download. The one you download needs to be exactly that loud. I'll show you why. So once you download it, so you can see the file name here. Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of dark. It's like 696E766572545F6D, etc. It's all hex. So if you put it into a hex translator, which I will, I'll do it right now. I'll go into this translator here. Hex, decode. It says invert me please. That's great. So invert me please. So we're going to invert the file, I guess. I don't know. So we'll jump into Audacity again. And unfortunately, Audacity is kind of janky in how it handles files. It doesn't do things like exact. It's hard to explain. It doesn't do things like exactly. It does them like pretty close, and as a result, you actually can't solve this file with Audacity. I tried some other programs that are also free and they work too, but they're on my Mac side. I couldn't find something on my PC side to make it work really easily. And to be honest, it's probably good enough for like all applications of what you want to use it for, but for solving this puzzle in particular, it doesn't work. But I'll show you how it's supposed to work. So if I pull it in here, I'll close this one first, and it might crash. No. Okay, good. So here we go. This file just looks like this. It's gross. Control-Shift-F. We'll zoom in. It's like the same damn thing over and over and over again, right? It's the exact same shape, and it needs to be exactly this shape, and that's why it sounds so loud. I'm not going to play it because it's pretty horrible. So I am going to instead just invert this file. So if I invert this, effect invert, boom, it shows up here. If I were to open up this file first in a hex editor, as players now know is fair game, boom. So here it is. It's pretty useless. But if we invert it first and then pull it back, and so if I can invert it here, save it, and then pull in the new one, so I'll pull the new one here. There you go. So instead, the now inverted sample data is converted into being password is saboteur over and over and over again, like 4,000 times. So that's the idea. And as far as how I made that, I created an 11 sample long file and then rewrote the hex manually, and then repeated that, like brought that file back into Pro Tools, repeated it like 4,000 times, and then saved that as a file so it was more audible. And that's it. That's done. So, Saboteur. Neat, huh? Let's get back into it here. Saboteur. All right. DTMF Pals. This is one of my favorite levels, actually. It's pretty cool.
2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 5.
Yeah, so this file in particular is working in DTMF, hence the file name DTMF Pals, and DTMF stands for the Dual Tone Multi-Frequency System. There is one level coming up that was an homage to Not Prawn as well, because I played like 90 levels of Not Prawn way back in the day, and it definitely was a big inspiration. The problem, like where this came from, is that audio in ARGs, like in the Portal ARG or in Not Prawn or in puzzle path style games, whatever it is, the audio always is like boring to listen to, or the puzzle's super easy, like one of the two. So I was trying to make things both like explore the medium of puzzles in audio and also make things sound kind of cool independent of the puzzle. So like a lot of these levels you can listen to and be like, yeah, cool, sounds good, without even knowing it's a puzzle, you know? So here's the file, DTMF Pals. I'll pull it into Audacity. There it is. So if you look at the spectrogram right away, it's the spectrogram here is not great. You can kind of see it. Excuse me. So the idea behind the DTMF system is that if you look at a touch-tone phone, there's like 3 columns. There's 4 columns on the original touch-tone phones and 4 rows as well. So there's basically a frequency that is dedicated to each row and column. So if you press like 1, it looks at row 1 and column 1, and it plays both these frequencies, hence the dual tone, 2 tones. And then on the other end of the phone system, it receives those 2 tones and goes, oh cool, they pressed 1. That's how it identifies what's pressed here and there. And that's actually how phreaking works too, like back when they used like the Captain Crunch whistle to like basically fake or like kind of spoof phone tones. So the idea here is that the tones are actually separate. So you have these 4 and these 4, and then there's like these 2 robots talk, and they say some numbers 1 through 6, and then you figure out like, okay, this is like 1 here and 1 here, therefore I'll match these 2 tones, and I'll make a dual tone. So I can grab like this kind of thing, and I can make a new track, and I can paste it, and then if I listen to that somewhere else, you can hear like a dual tone going on, like over here, right? Or here instead. Or here. So that's the idea. I'm not going to do the whole thing. It's kind of time consuming, but that's how it works. And then My only regret with this level is that perhaps the second set of numbers wasn't clear enough. Like the first half, I think is pretty clear.
2,
2,
3,
3,
4,
4,
6,
6,
1,
1,
5.
5. This first one though is like it's 4, but it's like it's not obvious. I heard somebody say 5, 2. They're not really sure. 5, 1. So that's the gist. And yeah, so what you get is 833486. And then if you think of it like in T9, like texting, there's only one word you can make from that series of numbers. And that's, sorry, that makes sense. So like the 1, take like the 1, wherever 1 is. Let's see here.
3, 4,
1,
6,
6.
1,
Well, so 1.
1.
And then over here, you have 1 here also. So you'd like take this tone and mix it with this tone. And that makes an 8. Make sense? So that would be the first digit. 1, first digit, 2, second digit, etc. So you get 833486. And then that, the word you get is tedium. Maybe appropriate for this puzzle, right? So tedium. Okay, so phase 5, monophony. This is actually a .ogg file. Here we go. That's me singing, by the way, in the choir. So if I pull that into Audacity or something like that, I think I can pull it in Audacity. I'm not sure if it even loads OGG files. This is one of the few levels you don't need to even open. You can just listen to it. It plays cool. So from here. Your password is this line. So all you do is just figure out what those notes are. It's D-E-C-A-D-E. So the answer is decade. Big winner. Alright, so this file is simply musical modes. I don't know if you guys know what modes are. It's kind of a deeper, it's a bit more of an advanced musical theory concept. So if you look at like a keyboard, like a piano keyboard, and you play from C to C, it's all white notes. It's like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? If you take that do to do all the way up, and you just change the note you start on, and like what note is considered the home note, that's a different mode. So instead of like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, if you want C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, do that instead, then it's Dorian, etc. Yeah, Dorian is that mode I just sang. Sang. So in order, they go Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Locrian, sorry, not Locrian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. So if you know all those modes, you listen to that, to this slot machine, and I can pull it in, I can show you the actual spectrum too. So I'll go to spectrogram, this one perhaps? No, I'll go into the other one, into log. So you can see it's a bit different here. I'll Control-Shift-F. It's not super obvious, but you can kind of tell that they're not on the exact same positioning, especially if you zoom in. I don't know if it's really obvious like this. It's not very helpful. This spectrogram is not easy to see. In programs like Isotope RX, it's way easier to see that it's not identical. Key signature is different than modes, actually, more axis. So like D Dorian is in the key of C, but it's a Dorian mode. It's a little bit difficult to talk about in a very short, abridged kind of music theory lesson on this channel from Power Up Audio. But take my word for it. You figure out the modes, and in order the modes go. Was it here? It's Phrygian, Aeolian, Lydian, Locrian, Ionian, Dorian. So it spells out pallid, and that's the answer. All right. So pallid. Alright, so this is the, this file name is like 00110000111101, etc. So I'll put that into a translator, and we'll see what happens. So we got, is it here? Here. So binary, decode, that's the file name. And we get eighths. Eighths encoded in binary. So if you interpret the eighth notes in the melody as binary information, I'll play it one more time, and I'll actually put in, I'll put it in here at the same time. Right, so so every note is a 1, every absence of a note is 0. So if you know the melody, it's like, oh wait, other way around. I did the wrong way around. 0 1 1 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 1 1 0. So that's the melody decode. Upstroke. That's the answer. Cool, right? It's really easy to put that in the binary if you know how the melody goes. It's just like singing out something you already know, right? So upstroke is the answer. So do no harm, next level. All right, so this is, I'm not going to play this one in Audacity because it's terrible. You need to have a bit more graphical fidelity in the spectrogram, so I'll play it in here instead. And I'll go into the, I'll turn it down a bit, and I'll go into the spectrogram view, and you'll see what's happening here is, can I go full screen too? Seriously, how come Phase 5 has sounds that are potentially good background music pieces? That's the point. Phase 5 is based in music files. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, you're kind of right that you heard dominant seventh and then more axis, kind of. This is actually a puzzle based in harmonic series. So, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see these little dots here, and those are all the notes, and you can see there's like a void. Play it one more time here from left to right. Oh god, come on, don't do that to me. Style, scrolling. So we'll stop it. So this here, you can see there's like a void right there. There's a void here. So it's basically a solve by omission, because every harmonic series goes like an octave, a fifth, a perfect fourth, a major third, a minor third, a minor third, a perfect second, etc. And sorry, perfect second, major second, and then it goes up from there. So the idea is that you figure out which note of those is missing in the series, and then these numbers in behind, which I just built out of MIDI, you just add that, you count in the alphabet alphanumerically from the note that's missing. So that's it. All right. So if I take this first series, for example, is missing a D, I think, so I'll add 18 to that, or missing an A, I don't recall what it is. It's missing something, and you add 18 to that letter, and you get W. So do that 6 times, and you get the answer wisdom. And that's it. So this ends now. I'll play this guy.
Is down 36 from...
We'll pull it up. Boom.
Is down 36 from...
So is down 36 from...
Down 36 from...
Is down 36 from... That's my voice.
Down 36 from...
It's like a radio kind of thing. That's the idea, at least. And then this part is the important part. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to trim it. That's all I need. It's just this little guy right here. And come on. Thank you. And I'm going to go down 36 from. And to do that, I'm going to go change speed. And down 50% means 1 octave lower. And 36 means semitones. So if I do that 3 times, then we'll have something useful.
4 3
So all those numbers, I could have made it harder, but the 440 in there is kind of the giveaway, like A440. So all it is you map those frequencies, those are frequencies, to notes on a keyboard, and you get the answer. That's F, A, C, D, E.
Correct.
All right, warning. Although this stage was played back countless times during construction, it is possible that it may not be safe for all systems. This is true. If you are concerned, please play it back at a low level or do not play it back at all. This stage is 100% solvable without ever listening to it. That may sound like a hint, but you're still going to fail. And remember, this is the level that people got like completely stuck on. You don't need to listen to it at all. You can just look at it and you can solve it that way. This is a hard-ass level, but why it's dangerous, I'm going to play it. Oh, I can't, because it's too dangerous. So if you download it, okay, so pull it in here. Boom. This is a gnarly waveform. So you can see right away, there's like a lot of stuff happening. It's a lot of square waves, basically. And it's really rough. So the reason this might not be safe for all systems is that typically waves are balanced over these, like this x-axis, right? And the reason for that is that speakers are at rest, typically. Like if their system's off, they're at rest. If you turn them on, they're at rest. As soon as you be like, poof, it goes poof, and it does that, right? The head of the speaker, if you look at it from the side, it goes poof, like that, like bass. You see pounding bass like that, right? But if you look at it from the side, like turn around and out to the side, it goes poof, out like that. And that movement is literally what that wave is. It's like it's mapping the position of the speaker cone or the speaker head over time. So if you move something, like offset it, and tell it to go from here, it's really unnatural. And with some analog systems, if you have like a fuse or something, then that might end up like blowing a fuse, because it's very unnatural. You're telling it to hold a position and then be bounced over that position instead. So it's pretty rough. So I had to like find a way to fabricate DC offset. It's called direct current offset, and I'm doing it structurally too. So it's Morse code embedded in or conveyed via DC offset. You can see this is like dot dash dash dot, and then like dot dash dot 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 dash dash, etc. Like that's the idea. And also this file has rotational symmetry. So if I actually go to the end, you can see this first part is right dot dash dash dot. Okay, if you go to the end of the file, if I go backwards, same thing, dot dash dash dot. So it has rotational symmetry in the Morse code, but the file itself only goes forwards. So you'll always listen to it. Okay, cool. So it's not that dangerous for like digital systems. It's not a big deal. And also I made sure that it wasn't popping. It does like fade from the high point to the lower point over a bit of time. If it was an immediate change, that would be much more sketchy, but I didn't do that. So it would only really be dangerous for like some old analog studio system. I talked to a lot of audio engineer friends and colleagues and industrial experts whom I respect greatly before putting this level online, and it was pretty fun. So this level's really freaking hard, and okay, I'll try to explain how this works, but it's one of the hardest levels in the game. So it's a bit evil, but it's very cool. It's Morse code in time, and to understand how Morse code works, you need to actually not just know like a S is like dash dash dash. That's not good enough. You need to also know that Morse code works in time regards like the space in between things. So if I go to like the Morse code here, is it here? Here you go. So 1, the length of a dot is 1 unit, a dash is 3 units. Space between parts of the same letter is 1 unit. Space between letters is 3. Space between words is 7. That's really important information because this file is actually constructed on a grid, and the grid is 0.25 seconds per unit. So if I zoom in here, and I'll just come back a bit, you can see here that this is approximately 0.25 length. It's like 0.246. So knowing that, this is now going to be like 0.750, right? Kind of thing, or at least pretty damn close. Good. So knowing that, if you look at the middle, the problem is this says PASS IS, so pass is. In the middle, it's all garbled though. Because what's happening is you have positive DC offset information interacting with negative DC offset information, and basically it's running interference. So you look at this first bit, and now you have all this weird stuff going on. It's not quite as easy to read it anymore. The thing is, the part that's in reverse is actually offset from the grid by 0.5, so they're not on the same grid. So if you use some logic, you can figure out that when you have like this positive bit, it's definitely only positive DC offset information, okay? When you have a negative bit, it's definitely only negative, okay? But when you have a middle part, it could be the absence of positive and negative, or it could be the result of positive interfering with negative. Does that make sense? So in terms of figuring out what this says, you need to look at every section of the center, basically, of anything centered over the x-axis, and decide if it is the absence or if it is the combination thereof. So the thing is, with this puzzle, I actually made an easier version of this puzzle first, where you could tell, like, if it was absence or if it was combined, you could tell those are different things. So if you can imagine how I did it, I had like a positive one at a different value than negative. So when they added together, it was like a non-zero value. So you had only positive, only negative, definitely nothing, and then like combination thereof. And it was still like kind of harder to figure it out, but it wasn't that hard. It was pretty obvious. So I was like, is this like really hard enough for phase 6? I don't know. I was like, well, let's try like having it the same. Can I even still solve it? I didn't know if it was even possible. Like if I'd removed something, it was now like I'd corrupted the puzzle basically. So I was like, you know what? I'll try and figure it out. I'll start from ground zero. I'll see if it's even doable. I'll assume I know nothing. And I got some graph paper out and just drew it out. And it took me like 25 minutes and I solved it, but it took me like half an hour to solve it, knowing exactly how it works. So I was like, all right, this is probably a good puzzle for phase 6. So the idea is that if you look at this here, this positive bit is only 0.125 seconds long, right? So that means that this has to be a combination, because I can't have a section of Morse code that's only 0.125 when my full grid is at least this. Does that make sense? So since it's at least this is a dot or a dash, correct? Because it's got to be. It's starting here. It's a dot or a dash. So we figured out, okay, it's going to be a dot. If it is, that means that the part following it will be a unit's worth of silence, which there isn't, which means this has to be a dash. This is 0.75 seconds long, okay? So this right here is a positive dash. We know that. And now we carry on. We count this far. This is 0.250. So that's the absence of both, probably. It has to be, because I can't have something longer than a dash. I look here. This is now 0.125. Is it a dot or a dash? Well, it looks to be definitely not a dash, because I have negative only, which means if I had a dash, it has to be at least like how long here? 0.750. So about here for a dash, and there's negative content, therefore it can't be. So it's got to be a dot. So this part right here, half of it is actually a negative, which is this is a dot here, starting here and ending here. So it's a negative dot. So remember, it's in reverse, right? So this dot ends at the front, actually. So this is dash, dot. Then I have a bit of silence. So this is silence. This is the absence of both. This is only negative. Then I have something starting here again. It's a dot or a dash. And I can tell it's not a dash because I have negative only. So it's a dot again. So this is 0.250. Then I have another 0.250, which is right here. And then I decide, okay, I have something here. And this is going to be either absence of both or something positive. And I can tell it's going to be something positive due to like what's happening later on. Like it takes time to figure it out logic-wise, but it totally works. Like you can solve the entire thing by logic alone. It's not easy. It's a hard puzzle, but you can do it. So using logic, you figure out that the answer is in fact balance. I'm really pumped in that puzzle. It worked out really well. So 6-3, this is maybe one of my proudest achievements ever. I'll play it for you. Here.
In a random dot autostereogram, the 3D image is usually shown in the middle of the autostereogram against a background depth plane. Depth plane. Background depth plane. 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 Once the plane locks onto the background depth plane, it has a reference convergence degree from which it can then match patterns of different depth levels in the middle of the image.
Cool. So this level is a random dot autostereogram, which you might know as a magic eye. Seen these before? Right? I thought it'll work through Twitch. Probably will. It's a shark. If you can't see it, it's a shark. I'll zoom in a bit. There you go. Can you see it? I can see it. Alright, so I'll play this once more in foobar, actually, because you need a pretty good spectrogram fidelity to hear it. So, or rather to see it. So here's the thing. I can put it in Audacity, but it looks really crappy. So this is I said go. I'll load it up here and hit pause right away. And I'll turn it up a bit. And I'll go to View, Visualizations, Spectrogram. We'll go full screen. And I'm going to play this. And I'll pause it in the center.
In a random dot autostereogram, the 3D image is usually shown in the middle of the autostereogram
Against the background depth plane.
Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Depth plane. Once the plane locks onto the background depth plane, it has a reference convergence degree from which it can then match patterns of different depth levels in the middle of the image.
Okay, so there it is. It's right here. This whole level was like a lot of work. I got really drunk when I made this thing work. So it's actually it's a random dot autostereogram, but conveyed in audio. So if you look at the spectrogram of this wave file, and then you look through it, the answer pops out in 3D. That's the answer to the puzzle, and not everyone can do them. I recognize that. So the hint actually says like you might need a friend to help you out. But yeah, my good friend Stephanie Comare, who's done a ton of thanks. So my good friend Stephanie Comare, who has a lot of anime voice acting and such, she helped me out with this guy, and she like read an article out of Wikipedia on stereograms, and then I just basically corrupted some things and didn't corrupt other things, and yeah, so the important parts you need to solve the puzzle are maintained, and some are not, and you're good to go. But overall, it took me like 80 hours to make this thing, and I'm really pumped with how it turned out. And I'm pretty sure that the whole like autostereogram thing in audio like has never been done before. I'm pretty sure, or since. I'm pretty sure. So there you go. The answer, by the way, is Ivy if you couldn't do it, but it's definitely there. So here we go.